Hi everyone. Over the past year or so, with the rise of work from home for obvious reasons, you may have noticed there has been a proliferation of blog posts and videos like this one that I'm showing you right now. A lot of people are talking about these super highly paid translation jobs. I mean like $1,000 per translation or more than $120,000 with these 7 online translation jobs, that sort of thing. And it's all part of this big make money online trend that is going on right now. Now, I've always been a strong advocate of running some sort of online business, even if you have a full-time job and just want to make some money on the side, so I've got no problem with that. But I get the impression that something is not adding up here. And if you're a professional translator just like me, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of these claims are extremely hard to believe from the get-go, and they also seem to be spreading a lot of misunderstandings about how our industry works, and even how translation itself works. But hey, I can only know for sure if I actually watch the videos, right? So here it is. As a freelance translator, I will react to some of those videos, and I'll tell you exactly how things are, if their claims are believable or if it's just nonsense. And let me be very clear, I won't be making any statements about the authors themselves. This is not that type of channel. I will focus purely on the statements they make. I feel that many of them are not translators themselves, so they may not be so familiar with the reality of this business. Anyway, today I'll cover this video. Let's just get started.
Do you know another language and could use some extra cash? Do you want to get paid to work from home as a translator?
I like this guy's voice, I have to say. Anyway, this is not important, just a detail. Let's keep watching.
Well, in this exciting episode today, we're going to talk about how you can earn $30 to $100 per hour from
$30 to $100 per hour. Now that's a whole lot of money, so you just got my attention. Let's keep watching.
these work from home translation jobs, okay? Are you struggling to make money online, but you know a second language? Well, then why are you not making money? Because here's the truth. The demand for people who are bilingual is massive, and companies and people are willing to pay you big for the languages you already know how to speak easily. And the best part is this, other than speaking the language fluently, no other experience or special skills is necessary to get started.
Okay, this is where things start going off the rails. Look, I don't know if the author of this video speaks a second language, but I'm guessing he doesn't. My apologies if I'm wrong, but this is a statement we hear a lot from people who are monolingual, and happens a lot with native English speakers who never got to learn a second language. And no offense guys, you know it's true. Now, am I just a rubbish businessman, or is there something strange about all this? This is not adding up. The title says we can make up to $100 per hour working as a translator, and the video says you don't need any qualification and experience. Now, I happen to be qualified and experienced, and as a translator, I don't make even close to $100 an hour. But again, I might just be doing things the wrong way. We better keep moving. I want to know what this is all about.
You can do this anywhere in the world. It's very flexible for full-time working people and parents, and you can earn $15, $30, even up to $100 per hour starting salary. So if you want to work from home because you are tired of the ridiculous commute to work, or you just want to stay home with your kids and be the parent that actually gets to...
Now hold on a second, here we go again. Guys, if you're a translator, you know this. A person who makes such a statement has no idea what he's talking about. Yes, there's no doubt that being a translator gives you a lot of flexibility and makes things easier if you've got a family. But this is clearly an overstatement. This guy must think we spend our days, I don't know, making salads, I guess. A professional translator spends most of the day working, sometimes even longer hours than people with a standard 9-to-5 job. The only times we are not working is when we actually don't have any work coming in, which is when we start eating our own nails, struggling to sleep at night. Come on, seriously. Working from home is great, but doesn't mean you live in a fairy tale.
Raise them? Then this video is exactly what you have been searching for. In fact, in this video, you will discover step by step how to get started earning income as a translator, the 5 best places to get work from home translation jobs for beginners, and how to get paid $40 per hour to be a language tutor on
Language tutor. Now hold on a second. Teaching a language and being a translator are two completely different things. And I mean, besides the fact that they involve foreign languages, these two activities have nothing to do with each other. They are totally unrelated. I'm confused now.
in your own time. And if you watch towards the end of the video, I'll even share with you the best work from home translation job for freelance part-timers that pays up to $60,000 per year.
$60K for a part-time translator. part-time. Honestly, this can't be true. But I really want it to be true, so I'll keep watching.
Yes, but before that...
Oh, and by the way, just to be clear, I am not talking about interpreting here. I know several conference interpreters who do make $100 per hour and around $60K per year. But again, they are experienced, qualified, and most definitely not part-timers. And the title of the video clearly states these are translation jobs anyway.
If you like videos about making money online, getting results, and living the choice lifestyle you deserve...
Okay, I'll pause it here for a second. The video was getting too long, and so right after this he starts showing us some of the websites where one could potentially register. And I don't want this video to become too long, so I'll have to jump some of the parts and focus on some of the most important points. The first website he covers is a company called Assyrian, not sure how to pronounce that. They appear to have some positions for bilinguals, so if you're interested it might be worth having a look. And I mean this for real. But I couldn't help noticing none of the listed jobs have anything to do with translation. Again, I'm getting confused here. I mean, as you can see, that really has nothing to do with translation. And this is one of the things we get often. People just think that translation and anything related to foreign language are the same things, and they are not. They have absolutely nothing to do with one another. Then he shows an example, and of course the figures have nothing to do with what we heard at the start of the video. The job description states $19.75 as the best possible hourly earnings the candidate can get, and it requires 1 year of experience, so the no experience selling point does not apply here. Then he moves on to italki. So that's the thing, is one website I'm more or less familiar with, and of course once again this platform has nothing to do with translation. You can definitely make decent money as a language teacher with italki, but there's nothing even resembling what a translator does. Next in line is a company named Aclaro, and this one seems to be spot on. There's definitely something for translators on this one. So yeah, this is actually a good one, but here's the catch. I had a look into the website, and I might be wrong here by the way, but Aclaro appears to be a standard translation agency. Now this is actually great for translators, so very good call from our friend here. I didn't know Aclaro myself, so this one really got my attention. But if we go back to the start of the video and remember the promises that were made, there might be a problem there. We've got two options. Either Aclaro accepts virtually anyone, with or without any qualification or experience, and if so, they must be a terrible agency. Sooner or later they'll go bust. Guys, it's very difficult to survive in this business unless you've got a solid set of quality standards. Competition is crazy. A client who isn't happy with your work can just take their business elsewhere, and it's as easy as snapping your fingers. Although I kinda struggle with that, to be honest, like, not bad. That's probably just me. That's the first option. The second option is, they do perform all the necessary checks on new candidates, like any half-decent agency does anyway. And in that case, there's no chance for someone who just happens to know 2 languages to get any work. And that's for a good reason, because as I said, quality standards are absolutely essential in the translation industry. Just have a look into ISO 17100. There's an increasing number of translation agencies adhering to this certification. The whole point of being ISO compliant is precisely to ensure these companies are assigning their clients' documents to professional translators, not just to anyone who decided to translate as a side hustle a week ago. Knowing 2 different languages in itself means nothing. Just like the fact that I've got 2 hands doesn't automatically enable me to properly draw or paint. Here's the evidence. You can see this awful portrait of the Prime Minister I did the other day. To be honest, we translators and interpreters get treated like that all the time. Our profession gets no recognition or any kind of respect from a lot of people out there. You guys know it's true, harsh as it may sound. People assume that translation is an easy job that can be done by anyone, like it's just a matter of knowing a second language and things magically get done without any effort, as if being bilingual is a sufficient condition. Either way, it's very unlikely anyone will be able to achieve those figures that were promised at the start of the video. It just doesn't work like that. If you work for agencies, then you know exactly what I mean. And again, a minute later he shows us one of the available roles. Have a look at the description. 3 or more years of experience, a university degree, experience with CAT tools. Does that sound like a no experience needed kind of role? You tell me. Someone watching this video who doesn't know much about the translation industry might get disappointed. 3 years of experience is very difficult to get in this industry. A university degree has costs, and CAD tools involve a very long learning curve. Here he also carries out some checks on Glassdoor to get some salary figures. I always take Glassdoor's numbers with a pinch of salt. Actually, more like a bucket full of salt. In this case, it comes at $85,000 to $91,000 per year. That's an insane amount of money. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt because it's a US company, so we can't really compare their salaries to those in the UK. But of course, the actual roles appear to be for project managers. This one does say translator, but it's followed by senior localization PM, so I gather it's probably the latter we should be considering here. Anyway, these numbers seem to be out of touch with reality, but then again, it may be a local market thing. You would never make even close to that in the UK as a translation project manager. In fact, not even close to half of that. I mean, I wish. The next one is a company called Appen or Appen, not sure again how to pronounce their name. This also appears to be a good one for translators and other types of linguists, but again, nothing for bilinguals without any knowledge of the industry. And I doubt the pay is much different than most agencies pay. If you guys know anything about this company, please let me know in the comment section. And the very last one he covers is a company named Lionbridge, another very pertinent one. It seems to have potentially if you're a professional linguist. Yet again, the same problems that I covered in the previous two also apply here, so I won't waste any more time on this. So that was it, a make money online as a translator type of video. Just like so many that have been released lately, now that the events of 2020 suddenly made work from home popular, or at least more popular than ever. To be completely honest, he actually does a fairly good job. I didn't know these 3 last companies that he mentioned, so I definitely got something positive out of the video. I may consider having a further look into them down the line, I don't know yet, we'll see. But you can't deny there's a lot of mislabeling here. The video doesn't deliver on its promises. The main problem with this video, and that happens a lot with other videos like this one, is that translation as a job is so often portrayed as something basic that can be done by anyone, while promising certain amounts of money that, let's say, they are not common practice in our industry. I mean, I wish we all got paid that much, but we know fairly well the only translators who may get close to those numbers, they must be in a very advanced stage of their careers. And their language portfolio and technical specialisms must be very unique and specialized. You see, technical specialisms, specialized, oh well. Look, I think it's obvious this person is not a translator, so I want to be clear, I am not making this reaction video just to complain about this guy. I honestly like the way he delivers his videos. My target here are the misconceptions about the translation world that we often come across. His niche clearly is money making, you know, finding ways to get some income from online gigs. So in that department, I can definitely appreciate his efforts here. But you cannot make statements like this. I wish they were true, but to the most part, they are misleading. I sincerely trust this guy's good intentions, but I think his claims are just not realistic. So that's it for today. If you know other people who are into the make money online mentality, perhaps consider sharing this video with them. I'm not trying to discourage people, by the way. I strongly support making money online, and it's something I try to do in addition to my work as a translator. What I'm trying to do is set the record straight when it comes to translation, you know, just trying to show the actual reality of our industry, so other people are not being misled by videos like this one. But anyway, thank you for watching and see you next time.